Hey guys, Aaron Cybertron Zhang here, and today I'm back with another episode of Road to Rank where I climb the online series 8 ladder and provide live commentary as I go. Today we're trying out a really cool Reshiram team built by 2017 World Champion Ryota Otsubo. You may recognize that name because Ryota, we featured so many of his teams on the channel in the last year, and if you're not following him on Twitter, you should definitely give him a follow because he's constantly creating new teams and posting them publicly. So huge thank you to Ryota for the team. He also has a YouTube channel, so I've linked that down in the description below as well. And yeah, as you all know, I've been trying to get at least one team with every single restricted Pokemon, and so we haven't had any repeat restricteds yet, and today we're going to be featuring Reshiram, so really excited to try it out. Reshiram is interesting because while it's, not exactly the fastest restricted Pokemon, it does a ton of damage, has an incredible base special attack, and so many common Pokemon in the format right now are Steel type, and so Reshiram obviously completely demolishes those Pokemon, whether it be like Necrozma, Solgaleo, Ferrothorn, Kartana, Metagross, or Celesteela, just to name a couple of examples. Sableye here is a really interesting partner because, no pun intended, it is a really tricky Pokemon to go up against because, it gets access to like 10 good moves, right? And like Whimsicott, you're often playing the guessing game, trying to figure out which of those moves it's actually going to be using. So this set is Will-O-Wisp, Sunny Day, Trick, and Fake Out, and with Trick and Iron Ball, you're able to decrease your opponent's speed, and it's just a really interesting means of speed control. We don't see this combination very often, actually, and so you can catch opponents off guard immediately with that. Often, that will allow Reshiram to just kind of snipe something and pick up a KO before he can really attack. You also have support Citrus Berry Gyarados, which is really interesting. It reminds me kind of Gyarados in 2017. I feel like I used a similar set back then. AV Rillaboom, Choice Scarf Krookodile, and then Clefairy. I think the Krookodile here is really interesting because it has Scary Face and the Rock Tomb. So 2 means the speed control. Scary Face is something that's very, very hard to anticipate. And so that allows you to potentially lead Reshiram and Krookodile and just go Scary Face and then try to pick up a one-hit KO onto something on turn 1. Clefairy here is also pretty interesting. It's pretty standard, but it has After You rather than Dazzling Gleam or Moonblast, and so that really assists in a potential Trick Room matchup, for example. One cool thing that's probably unlikely, but you can actually self-trick the Iron Ball with this team as well. I think that's very rare, but is a small possibility in case you're going up against like Trick Room teams, for example. So there's a lot of cool stuff that you can do with Trick and Iron Ball, so eager to see how it plays out. Anyway, thank you to Ryota for the team. I think, with this team, you're going to be Dynamaxing Reshiram like 95% plus of games, maybe very obscure scenarios with Gyarados or Rillaboom, but this is basically meant to be a full Reshiram game. You try to carry as much as possible with it. Pretty interesting to see dual Intimidate with, no Landers or Incineroar. That's part of the reason why I really love a lot of Ryota's teams because they feature a lot of like Pokemon that aren't super common, right? Like Reshiram, Gyarados, Krookodile, none of those are super meta, as well as Sableye at the moment as well. So, yeah. Anyway, let's get into today's episode. Thank you so much as always for watching. If you enjoy, please show your support by leaving a like. And yeah, let's get started. Question of the day, by the way, kind of inspired by Daft Punk's kind of retirement earlier today, which I'm really sad about. Daft Punk is one of my favorite electronic or just general artists of all time. Super, super inspirational. And so I want to know who your favorite musical artist or artists are in the comment section below. So let me know. It's really tough for me to actually pick one specific artist, but I'm a big fan of a lot of different kinds of music, whether it be like R&B, hip-hop, electronic. So Daft Punk's definitely one of them. Big fans of The Weeknd, Frank Ocean, Odessa, Tame Impala, just to name a couple. But I really love almost all kinds of music. So yeah. Also, sometimes for the question of the days, a while back, I'd ask for new music recs. So always, interested in seeing what my viewers are listening to. So let's get started. Alright, we're up against Nidoking. That's the main thing here. I think like Thundurus, Urshifu, Zacian has been pretty common as like a core. But this is where Sableye is actually really good. Because I can just burn like almost all of my opponent's team, which is really cool. I'm a big fan of that actually. Yeah, I think Will-O-Wisp is so good for us here. So I'm down for Sableye plus Reshiram. Nidoking's probably the biggest threat to Reshiram, so I want to be careful about that. In the back, Rillaboom feels really bad here, especially because almost none of my opponent's Pokemon are actually special, so the Assault Vest is barely valuable. Gyarados is pretty Intimidate. I don't know if Nidoking's running Thunderbolt. Normally, I would think it's Life Orb, Sludge Bomb, Ice Beam, Earth Power, Protect. So Gyarados can actually, not completely wall, but put in some work. Intimidate's just kind of valuable here into Zacian. I guess I have Krookodile. I think Clef is a good Pokemon to have here because I can switch it in for Friend Guard. And then it's between Krookodile and Gyarados. Let's see, with Krookodile here, High Horsepower, Darkest Lair, Rock Tomb. I lean towards Gyarados a little bit more just because Krookodile kind of gets demolished by my opponent's Rillaboom. Although I don't know how often Rillaboom comes out from their end. I guess they do have Zacian, so Krookodile allows me for high horsepower. But Gyarados is bulkier, and I think I prefer the bulk here, so I'm going to go with that. Anyway, yeah, thanks as always for watching Road to Ranked, as I say. And, you know, I've been reading the comment section lately. It's been pretty funny to me. First of all, I do apologize because I know I often make mistakes and blunders on Road to Ranked. And so, yeah, you know, I try my best to obviously play as well as I can, but those mistakes do happen, especially over, you know, recording multiple games as well. So, yeah. But I appreciate you all for coming out and tuning in regardless. So, to get started, it's going to be Zacian and Thundurus. Okay. We have a lot of options here. Like, I think the Will-O-Wisp here on Sableye is so good, and I think, like, people kind of forget how good Will-O-Wisp as an option is in general. So, I'm really excited to have that just, you know, to start off. One thing to note is that I don't think we can actually trick into the Zacian, so that will be important to remember. I'm afraid of Zacian going for a substitute here. I think that definitely concerns me a little bit because it can stall out my Dynamax. I do have Fake Out though, so Fake Out into Zacian, Max, and just Max Flare turn 1 isn't bad. Could also double up onto Zacian immediately with Fake Out Max Quake. That's actually kind of tempting. I guess Zacian could just protect here, right? You know what? I don't think Zacian's even that scary. I'm going to double up onto Thundurus turn 1 with the Will-O-Wisp and a Flare. Because I could see Zacian subbing here. And if it substitutes... Well, I guess if it subs, that's kind of awkward, isn't it? But I don't think it should do that much damage into the Reshiram, which is the upside. And so they committed Dynamax to Thundurus, but, you know, if I just burn this thing immediately and get the Max Flare off into a turn 1, that's pretty good. Part of me really wanted to double onto Zacian, though, because, I don't know. But, like, is it going to respect the Fake Out here? Let's see. Ideally, Zacian protects here. If it protects, we're in really good shape going to turn 2, because then I can just Will-O-Wisp Zacian and then go for another Flare onto Thundurus. The scary thing to note, though, is that I don't have too much offense with what I brought, right? It's basically relying on Reshiram to carry this as much as possible, so I want to make sure Reshiram doesn't take too much damage. That's the main thing to watch out for right now. So let's see. All right, perfect. They protect. Okay, that's fantastic. So I'm really happy to see that. That's obviously great for us. If they're not Lumberry, this is just such a good turn 1 for us. Even if they're Lumberry, it's not the end of the world because I don't think you one-shot. And they're not Lummed, which is fantastic. They go for Airstream. That's totally okay. And Sableye takes that like an absolute champ. So, yeah, glad Will-O-Wisp did not miss there. That's the main thing here. But, you know, Will-O-Wisp is a really good attack. And Sableye is unique because it is, you know, it is able to get these priority Will-O-Wisps off. And that's super, super rare in this format. So, yeah. I can't tell if that's Assault Vest. Would have expected to do like a little bit more damage there, but I'm not 100% sure. Okay. Either way, Burnt Thundurus is not really a problem for us right now. So that's good for us. Shame we can't go for the trick stuff right now. Yeah, the question is whether or not your Zacian has Substitute, but I think going for Will-O-Wisp and Flare into it is really safe. Your only switch-in, I guess, would be Incineroar. Oh, maybe I'm on Max Quake then. Max Quake covers every switch in but Rillaboom, but then if you switch in Rillaboom, you're getting burnt. So yeah, I'll go for Fake Out and Max Quake. And the question here is whether or not you have Substitute on Zacian. Oh, they just go for a double. Okay, I think that, I don't know, going for a double this early on normally isn't a good sign, because if you don't get it, you just lose so much momentum. Like, I just get a free knockout now, right? And so, like, I think it's nearly impossible to come back after this, but we'll see. Like, even though it looks really good for us, once again, the downside is that I have Clefairy in the back and Gyarados, and neither of those are doing much damage. But the upside is that Reshiram just hasn't even taken any damage right now. So I think we're in pretty good shape, especially because they didn't get the double off, and we were lucky for that. Substitute is really common on Zacian, specifically because it allows you to, you know, stall out opponent's Dynamaxes, so we're lucky that it didn't have sub here. And yeah, I'm pretty sure you can't trick away the item, otherwise I would have gone for it. I'd have to double check that interaction, but like I'm pretty confident about that. Either way, the upside is now I can conserve this trick for whatever comes in, and this is like the downside for my opponent's team, right? They just don't really have special Pokemon to attack with, and so Will-O-Wisp alone just does so well into this entire matchup. They're going to bring in Rillaboom, but that's fine. With Rillaboom out here, I think our best option is probably to actually switch out the Sableye. I don't know. I don't think my opponent has Reshiram answers if they're bringing Rillaboom in here. I could see them bringing in Rillaboom and then baiting out and going back out into Incin, but Incin's not really doing much damage here. So I think it's really safe to go into Clefairy here and just go for a Flare onto the Rillaboom slot. Even if you switch in Incineroar, okay, yeah, they just end up forfeiting. Not much they could have done after turn 2. Like I said, that's going for a double protect is normal. Like, that was a high risk, low reward play, I feel like, where even if you get it, it's still kind of a tricky spot to be in. But I think the reality is that they just didn't have a good matchup into Reshiram plus Sableye. So this is one of the reasons why this duel is so cool, right? Not many people expect it. There are a lot of common physical attackers in the format right now, and so Sableye can basically take advantage of that, go for these Will-O-Wisps, and basically make them significantly weaker immediately. So that was a perfect demonstration of how good Sableye plus Reshiram could be. Yeah, and I thought, you know, turn 1, even if the Zacian... Like, I feel like it's so rare for Zacian to not protect there, or substitute, one of those two options. I was expecting sub, but protect is safe. Whoa, that is a Necrozma, not Duskmane, the other one. I'm gonna be honest, I actually just, like, don't know what that does. Because it barely existed in VGC 2019. So, I am definitely scared to go up against that. After you Clef is really interesting here, because my opponent's team is clearly a Trick Room team. We are pretty slow here. Reshiram, Sableye. I have Taunt on Gyarados, which could help in denying Trick Room. Now the thing is, if I want to deny Trick Room, you'd have to lead Staktaka plus... I think maybe Necrozma as well. Yeah, Necrozma can Trick Room as well. So you'd have to not lead Fake Out. There's actually no way I can Taunt, right? Because you're going to lead Incin, Indeedee, or Gyarados. One of those for sure. This is where I was saying, like, self-tricking Iron Ball is interesting, but... Nah, we're too fast here. That probably doesn't even work, right? Now, the thing is, they have Torkoal, so they might set up the Sun for us. I think I'm going to go with Sableye, Reshiram, Clef, and... I don't want to bring a Scarf Krookodile into a matchup with... Okay, it's still not a terrible option, though, I guess. Mainly, I mean, it does help against the Necrozma. I don't know. It's a really interesting team for my opponents, and I'm nervous about them setting up Trick Room. After you could be very helpful for us here. So, once again, I think, like, the main thing in using this team is we basically have to play very smartly with Reshiram, because it's like, even if we have an early lead, if we don't have much offense in the late game, and my opponent deals with Reshiram, no matter how, like, if we don't build up a big enough lead, they can still easily come back, because I don't have offense afterwards, right? So, they're going to go with Indeedee and the Staktaka. The play I lean towards here is to Sunny Day. If you're my opponent, I think you go for Follow Me with Indeedee, right? So what I want to do is... terrain here is so bad for Sableye because I can't Will-O-Wisp, unfortunately. Can't change the terrain either, so that's a big downside. I think I will just go for a Sunny Day and a Blue Flare turn 1. I don't want to commit a turn to Dynamax because I don't necessarily need a KO. I'll target Staktaka here in case for some reason they didn't go for Follow Me, but I think you always go for Follow Me here. Yeah. I had no way to deny Trick Room, unfortunately, I think. So, I mean, if we pick up the KO here, then what do? I can switch Reshiram and a Krookodile. Yeah, if terrain weren't a thing, then Will-O-Wisp would be so valuable. We hit Blue Flare, which is really nice. It's a sick animation as well. They're not Focus Sash, so we do pick up an early knockout. The question is how much I can actually, like, run away with the game now, because, like, my opponent is just going to have so much offense in this late game, right? Staktaka is scary. You could probably bring out Lunala as well right now. Sorry, not Lunala, Necrozma. Dawn Wings, is it? That's what it's called? Not Duskmane, Dawn Wings. Yep, that comes out. How fast is Necrozma? Because, like, honestly, I'm kind of considering... Psychic Ghost. It's probably better to just switch out here, right? I want to, like, go for the self-trick. I guess Staktaka maxing is actually definitely a viable option here. Like, I want to double switch here, honestly. Because, like, we picked up an early KO, and this switch-in is a big Intimidate, and then, like, the Krookodile is actually pretty valuable against both of these Pokemon, right? So next turn I could potentially After You or Follow Me. After You into just Darkest Lair into Necrozma is a viable option, right? And I want to conserve Reshiram, because like I said, this team revolves around Reshiram so heavily that I think it's just really important to conserve. The downside is with Psychic Terrain, like Sableye is just so useless against my opponent right now. I can't Fake Out, can't Will-O-Wisp or Trick on their side. So basically, the only thing I can do is go for a trick on my side, or stall out their terrain. They Dynamax Staktaka. Okay, I'm actually really happy to see that, because I would think you would target, you go Rockfall into the Krookodile here. So let's see. Krookodile, by the way, like Ryota won the 2017 World Championships with, so it's really cool to see him use that Pokemon. This is a -1 Rockfall with Friend Guard, so it shouldn't really do that much. Okay, great. It's a big Intimidate for us right away, so I'm happy about that. And I think what I can do here is probably protect Clef, switch Krookodile back out into Sableye, and then go from there. Ha! Okay. That is so cool. Wow, I was wondering what this Necrozma was going to do, and it's Meteor Beam. I wonder if that's a double up into Reshiram. You would think so, right? To cover for Max Reshiram, but I don't know. Oh, they target Clef. Okay, it doesn't KO though, so that's good. Okay. I have to say, I did not anticipate that. My question is, can you KO us? Because, like, with Friend Guard, I could pretty easily just protect and go for a Darkest Lariat. In fact, I could just switch out. If I'm my opponent, what am I doing? Steel Spiking? Wow, Meteor Beam. That's so cool. Huh. So now you're at +1. Psychic Ghost? I don't know if you have coverage into me right now. See, the thing is, if I'm my opponent, I'm considering Steel Spiking into Crook here. Protect is so obvious. Okay, I'm actually going to switch out into Sableye, because this thing's so useless, and then Darkest Lariat. I think Staktaka outspeeds us in Trick Room, right? Otherwise, I would have gone for After You. I don't know, maybe Protector Follow Me is just safer there, but conserving Clef for... Okay, they Steel Spike into Sableye. Okay, perfect. That's so good. So now the question is, does Necrozma have a way to just one-shot Krookodile right now? With +1 special attack, I don't know, maybe if you have a Fairy type attack, you can? Okay, just Moongeist Beam. I wouldn't think this one-shots, right? I don't know, it's +1, it is pretty strong, so maybe I'm wrong in this assumption, but we are slowly stalling out Trick Room, which is good. Nice, Krookodile hangs on, let's go, that's huge. That gives us Darkest Lariat as well, which is fantastic. And we haven't even maxed yet, right? So, like, Reshiram maxing in this endgame is the win con that we're playing towards. So, yeah, very happy about that turn as well. So, I think, like, despite Trick Room going up in this game, we have at least built a numbers lead. And the stack attack is at -1, which is good. And we haven't given it a Beast Boost. The problem is I've taken a ton of damage with all of my Pokemon at this point. But their last one is Incineroar, so I'm pretty sure Reshiram just wins us the game now. Because I can just... Yeah, I think we have more or less a guaranteed win here. Because I haven't seen the item on this, I guess. So Shukaberry is actually definitely a big possibility. Still have 2 turns of Trick Room left. Will-O-Wisp is valuable. If you're my opponent, you should Rockfall in this position, because that covers any switch-out option I have. Never mind, it's not a guaranteed win then, because I think Shuka is definitely a possibility. No, you know what I think, though? I think we can just... Reshiram should win the game if we have Sun up, right? So what I do is just switch out into Clef, go for Darkest Lariat, and then with Sableye and Reshiram should win in a 2v1 scenario, because then I just Sunny Day and go for Sunny Day and just go for my Max Flare into Staktaka. Okay, so they Steel Spike into Crook, that's fine. Interesting that they actually went for Steel Spike over Rockfall there. I think Rockfall's better because it also negates a Sunny Day, but in the end, my opponent got the... Like, had I stayed in and just clicked Sunny Day, my opponent just puts me in a winning position immediately. Whereas now, like, they will get a Beast Boost. It's going to be attack. Okay, so they're back at neutral. Does Lash Out even KO here? I'm not sure it does. Let's see. 37. It does not. Wow, that's a big survival. Okay, nice. I mean, I can just protect now, right? Yeah. We've stalled out our opponent's Trick Room, which is the main thing. So, like, that's why conserving the Reshiram is so important with this team. How many turns of Sand are left is my question, because I think I'll Faint from Sand, but it's okay if I Faint from Sand, right? It's not really that big of an issue. Let's see. 2 turns of Sandstorm left. Oh, you know, I will survive if I just protect here and then just go for Max Flare. But I don't want to take any damage right now. I could switch into Sableye. I'm pretty sure we should... Wait, this thing doesn't have special defense boost, right? No, it doesn't. Okay, I'll just protect here. I'll double protect. Because, like, Reshiram... I'm just assuming, by the way, it's Shuka Staktaka, so I think if we have Sunny Day up, Max Flare should one-shot stack. So that's what I'm playing towards. Because the Incineroar is never KOing Reshiram after I max, right? So yeah, they go for Rock Slide. We've seen Rock Slide, Trick Room, Steel Spike. So it's typically Body Press or Protect as the fourth option. I'm hoping it's not Protect, but we'll see. So even though, you know, it's 2-2 and my Sableye is more or less useless, it's important just to get Sunny Day up. It could have been worthwhile to conserve Clef just for helping hand, actually. So I don't know, I could have switched out, but then I give Stack Attack another boost, which scared me a little bit. Terrain does disappear, so I mean, I guess I can Trick on Sinson and actually... Oh no, I can't Stark type anyway, never mind. So still kind of useless, but I think here, my opponent just can't beat Dynamax Reshiram now. So we're going to go for Sunny Day. We're going to max. My only fear here is if you're actually Focus Sash Staktaka. Okay, but they just end up forfeiting. Well, that's kind of a bummer. I wanted to play out the end game with Sableye and Reshiram, but I think that last game is a good demonstration of why, like, playing defensively can give you huge dividends if you're going up against Trick Room, because they have to utilize their Trick Room as well as they can, and every turn of Trick Room matters so much, right? So, like, we had back-to-back really good turns when their Trick Room was up, and their Dynamax essentially didn't do very much at all. It was a big, you know, the Krookodile being able to survive was a big deal there as well. And so, kind of scary. A matchup like that's always scary because you're playing defensively, your opponent's playing offensively. They make some really good reads that could potentially just win the game. For example, if they ended up going... Like, I think in my opponent's position, they should have considered Steel Spiking and going for Moongeist Beam onto the Krookodile slot, because Clefable there is always going to protect or switch out. I mean, it could go for Follow Me as well, right? But that's why I often favor, like, doubling up onto something next to Clef, because Clef, unlike a Moongeist, you know, doesn't apply pressure. It can't Spore. It can't... And it's not really doing damage either, so... Krookodile just being able to pick up that KO was a big deal because, of course, the Necrozma was that +1 special attack. But really interesting because I haven't even run into the Necrozma Dawn Wings yet, so I was curious how players were running it, and yeah, that was a really interesting set. Okay, I think we played Paris VGC a while back, but it looks like they're not using a Paris Song team this time around. Did any of those Pokemon get Paris Song? I'm honestly not sure. Sableye with Will-O-Wisp is somewhat valuable for us here. I'd actually have to consider bringing Rillaboom just for terrain control, because burns are so good for us here, given that their team is almost all physical. Okay, never mind. I mean, they do have the Calyrex Shadow. Man, do we outspeed with Krookodile? We should, right? Because that actually could be really helpful. They also just have Whimsicott Terrakion. That's really scary. Clef is so interesting here just for redirection support. I don't think I bring Gyarados. So I think I like Sableye, Rillaboom. Rillaboom's actually really good damage-wise here too. So actually it should be, I definitely should be bringing it. I don't think I bring Clef. I think that's the one I drop. So I like Sableye, Reshiram, Rillaboom, Krookodile, because now I have Intimidate and Grassy Terrain as the switch in the back. But my opponent's team is just so hyper-offensive, so it's still pretty scary. Like, they just have so much damage from their end right away, and they are probably going to outspeed us. And if they didn't have Indeedee, I'd be like, okay, I can at least, you know, Trick. And, like, Trick is actually a really big deal here, I think. So, we'll see. Even if you go, I don't know, Whimsicott Terrakion, I can Will-O-Wisp, switch out into Krookodile turn 1. I think one upside with this team, kind of like what we saw in the last game, is if you can stall out your opponent's Dynamax, late game Reshiram should just win you the game. So it's Indeedee and Calyrex. It's pretty scary, I have to say. Man, I mean, does Indeedee go for Follow Me? Are you Focus Sash? I think that's pretty likely. I don't know. I want to Trick really badly, but I'd have to switch out into Rillaboom as well. It's a really good lead by my opponent. You know, they could definitely go for Astral Barrage or just any Psychic type damage. What are the odds you go for a Follow Me here? Because what I really want to do is try to trick the Iron Ball into Calyrex. But I think Follow Me and just Max Psychic, or not Max Psychic, Expanding Force here is pretty safe for my opponent's end. So I could go into Krookodile here. The play I want to make is to trick away Calyrex's item and then bring in Rillaboom. I'm going to try this play. I don't know. Follow Me is just such a safe option on their end, but I could see them... Actually, is there a reason to Expanding Force? I don't really think so, right? So, this probably wasn't the best play, but I don't know. What else can I do? I can Sunny Day Max turn 1. Oh, they go for Helping Hand. Okay, that's huge. That is huge. Because now I can outspeed you. And I have Avery Rillaboom in against these. So, nice. Sableye putting in all the work right now. Take away Life Orb. Great. And they go for Astral Barrage too. Okay, nice. So without Life Orb, this is definitely going to do a little bit less. Okay. Wow, that's still just one-shot Sableye. Holy cow. That is strong. That is very, very strong. Okay. Well, I have knockoff on this thing, and I have Reshiram here in the back. So now my question is whether or not your Indeedee is Focus Sashed. Focus Sash is so common, I would think it is. Oh, they do have Whimsicott on this team, though, so maybe it's not. Because what I want to do is just max, go for the Flare, and then go for the knockoff here. Man, the fact that Sableye still went down there is nuts. I could see Sash being on Indeedee, though, and then Whimsicott has, like, Koba or Reject button as well. I think that's actually probably a more likely possibility, because I don't know what item you'd run on Indeedee otherwise. Sash is just so good with this team. So I suspect this will not work out the way I wanted it to. Yeah, I mean, man, I didn't think Sableye would go down there. Oh, they go for Protect, though. Okay, so I think knockoff should KO, right? Oh, do we even outspeed even with the Iron Ball? I guess that's the other question I have. I mean, the upside here is that I get the Sun Up, so I do even more damage, but the downside is they have a lot of strong Pokemon just waiting in the back. Oh, they're still faster with Calyrex. Okay, I should have known that. Then I definitely should have targeted Calyrex with Flare. That actually just cost me the game. I thought Rillaboom would outspeed after Iron Ball, but I should have double-checked the speed. So, that's good to know. Iron Ball, not really that great when your opponent has really, really fast Pokemon. I have Skarkrook in the back, though, but I think I just lost a lot when I shouldn't have lost anything there. Because I could have... I think our Flare would have one-shot there into Calyrex, so I should have targeted Calyrex there, like doubled up onto that slot. Because Indeedee wasn't doing much there. So, yeah, that was a bad... I should have known Rillaboom was going to be slower there, and that's something you can always double-check for. So, I'll go for Flare here, and go for Darkest Lariat. I think we can pick up a double KO here, at least, but I think we're too far behind in this game, because our opponent has the Dynamax advantage, and they're a hyper-offense team. So, I think they should win off that. The last turn was a really poor play on my end. And, okay, Indeedee actually just goes for the double. Okay, well, we at least should be able to pick up a double KO here. Yeah. Oh, I really botched that last turn, thinking Rillaboom was faster. That was my bad. And that's why Calyrex is such a good Pokemon, right? It's like Dragapult, where you just outspeed so many Pokemon in the format. But that's okay. I mean, it's still not over. It's just a big question of what they have in the back. So, let's see. Whimsicott Terrakion would be a disaster, because you can probably just Tailwind and then Rockfall. Alright, there's Terrakion. That's not good. Terrakion alone probably just wins this. I needed Rillaboom to deal with Terrakion specifically, so me not conserving it was a bad mistake on my end. But, yeah. So let that be a lesson. Just double check to make sure you outspeed your opponent after you trick Iron Ball. And I also misplayed that turn because I could have just gone for the Flare onto the Calyrex slot. This is actually what I was talking about. Like, as I was teaching that lesson about Clefable in the last game, I didn't do that in this game, where I should have just doubled up onto Calyrex there, because Indeedee isn't really doing much in that position, especially because terrain wasn't up. So should have taken from my own lessons. Is there any way in which we can win this game? Not really, I don't think. Who would you Dynamax here? Terrakion? Yeah, I mean, with us being slower, that's part of the problem here. Like, my opponent's team is just so fast, and if Reshiram can't outspeed your opponent's Pokemon, it's kind of a problem. So, yeah. 2 mistakes I made in this game, all on the same turn, and against, like, very fast-paced, hyper-offensive teams, like my opponents, you don't really have the room to make those mistakes. I can see one way in which we win, which is them going for Max Knuckle, Rock Slide, not KOing either Pokemon. Oh, good protect. Could I have won the game with a flare onto Thundurus there then? No, because you're going to knuckle into Krookodile, and then you outspeed Reshiram, and then you just close combat after Dynamax is over, yeah. That makes a lot of sense. And because they know I'm Choice Scarfed, yeah, they know Krookodile is irrelevant at this point until the Terrakion. So, yeah, that was a really safe play. I don't think we were going to take a +1 close combat, right? Oh, wait. I think I know the play. The play was to have... Well, I would actually be forced to Darkest Lariat into them, so then I would activate Justified. So then they get to +1 attack anyway, right? I was going to say, the play was to, like, fake out... sorry, Darkest Lariat, Max Wormwind Thundurus, because then I get an attack drop on the Terrakion, but nah. Yeah, just no room for errors in a matchup like this, and turn 2 was obviously not good for us. But, man, the Calyrex Shadow is just so good. Being able to knock out Sableye even without that life from support. I mean, obviously I had a Helping Hand that turn, so that was a great Helping Hand. And I love Helping Hand as an offensive option as well. So, yeah, well played. Yeah, this definitely would have been a very different match if I just went for the Flare onto the Calyrex slot. Because then I knock out Calyrex, Rillaboom doesn't get anything off, but then you bring in... Yeah, I think you have to bring in Thundurus in that position. I guess you could bring in Terrakion as well. I don't know. It still would have been pretty scary even if I got like turn 2 well, but I don't know. It's at least like more winnable. Whereas after we lose Rillaboom, it basically feels impossible. But that's a tricky matchup because I don't think I can really bring Gyarados into it, given Thundurus and Terrakion. And then, yeah, not sure. All right, we got Groudon Sun here. We got a Sableye Mirror, which is interesting. Iron Ball's really good for us here, I think. Charizard's really scary. Don't we have Rock Slide on this thing, though? Oh, we have Rock Tomb. Okay, I mean, that's pretty valuable as well. So Scarf Rock Tomb might be a big deal here. I like Sableye, Reshiram, Krookodile. You know, Rillaboom's actually not terrible here because of Mammal, Groudon, Sableye. Gyarados is helpful only really against Groudon. Clefable's useful, but once again, I have the problem of not doing enough damage, so I think I'll go with Rillaboom, because it does give me Fake Out as well, which can be helpful. I mean, this is definitely scary for Reshiram, because my opponent has Groudon, Mammal, and Charizard and Venusaur often carry ground-type attacks, and so there's just so much super effective ground-type damage into Reshiram. But I'm hoping Iron Ball can do a little bit more for us in this game. So yeah, thinking back to that last match, if we knock out the... Sorry, I was just thinking, one of the comments I read recently was like, does anyone else get anxiety when like Aaron's still talking about the game, the previous match, and like team preview is counting down. But this time around, we already selected team preview, so I have more time to talk about it. But I was thinking, how else could I have approached that last match? They also outled us, I think, but I don't know if I even have a good answer against Indeedee Calyrex Shadow. Like, I don't think I have any consistent options other than Krookodile, but Krookodile is so bad if my opponent leads Thundurus, so I don't think it's... In best of one, it never feels like the right answer immediately. Okay, so it's going to be Thundurus plus Groudon. I don't mind that at all, actually. My opponent sets up the Sun for me, and I have priority Will-O-Wisp with Sableye right now, so I actually think this is really good for us. What do I want to do, though? Could be Eerie Impulse Thundurus, actually. The play I lean towards most here is just Will-O-Wisp into Groudon, Max, and Flare into Thundurus. I kind of like that. I could see my opponent going for, I don't know, Max Airstream, Precipice Blades. I guess Swords Dance could be a possibility here. I could have burnt Thundurus, but I don't know. I could also see Groudon actually maxing here without knowing the Thundurus set. Like, I feel like this is just pretty safe. My only fear now is Lumberry on Groudon, but I don't think that's super common because, like, Will-O-Wisp isn't super common, and then Groudon's not really getting hit by other status effects other than, like, maybe Spore, but with my opponent's team being a Sun team, I don't think it makes that much sense. Okay, they're maxing Thundurus, which I'm happy to see. So, let's see. I guess you could also just Knuckle and Precipice Blades. We need to hit this Will-O-Wisp, though. I think if we miss, it's actually a disaster, because I probably just lose Reshiram turn 1. And if I lose Reshiram turn 1, I probably just lose the game. Maybe it was better to just fake out Groudon and Flare turn 1 now that I think about it. But then if Groudon maxes, it's really bad. So it's like Will-O-Wisp plus Max Flare covers all of my bases. It's just unfortunately not 100% play, right? Just because Will-O-Wisp can miss. But if I fake out into Groudon and Groudon maxes turn 1, I just instantly lose, and so that's not a risk I'm willing to take in a best of 1. Especially because, like, Eerie Impulse Thundurus or Support Thundurus is a thing. Okay, we hit Will-O-Wisp. That's a great start. Please don't be Lumberry. That's the big question right now. Lum would probably just be GG if so. It's Scarf Bulldoze. Wow. I mean, wow. Sableye is so good. It hangs on. And I think we should KO Thundurus, which means we can trick Iron Ball on whatever comes in. Assuming we knock out Thundurus. Oh, it's not Life Orb, though. This isn't Sun. Please, base 140 be enough? No! It wasn't enough. Oh, that's a little sad. Okay. That actually is a really big bummer, I have to say. Now, I do have Trick right now, so, like, I can go for the Trick onto the Thundurus and then just KO it. I think I'm down for that. It's just Sableye is actually really good against what my opponent potentially has in the back, but I guess Krookodile also just works as a pretty good switch-in. Or Rillaboom. Okay, yeah, I'll go for Trick. And, Wormwind, because then we get an attack drop onto Groudon. Is that AV Thundurus? Well, we're about to find out. I feel like it is. Yeah. That's actually so interesting. Wait a minute. Does Thundurus oh no. It still outspeeds us, doesn't it? I forgot about that. Because of the Bulldoze and the Airstream turn 1. Well, they don't KO us anyway, so it's fine. This has definitely been a bizarre match. Let's see. We have Krookodile and Rillaboom in the back, which is... The thing is, Rillaboom offers me fake out support here. If I could have replayed that turn, I would have just gone... I would have switched Sableye out, because then I conserve Will-O-Wisp. Like, switch Sableye out. I don't really want to go into either in the back, though. Wait, was that not Defiant? Because it didn't get an attack boost, right? Also, wow, Scarf Groudon with Bulldoze is fascinating, by the way. I've, like, never seen that before. Okay, I lean towards going into Rillaboom here. Do you bring out Charizard or Venusaur right now? Oh, it's Mamoswine. Okay, well, the Rillaboom switching looks fantastic for us now. That's great. Okay, well, your Groudon is irrelevant right now. Groudon is in a tricky spot, because it's like, do you just switch out? Or do you just Bulldoze again? Safest play is definitely just a fake out right now into Mamo, but I suspect it'll be Sash Mamo, so I want to double up into it. It's just like Groudon switching out here is a big possibility, and I can just go for a Max Flare into that slot, right? But I could also see them staying in and then getting a free switch in. So this is a big question, whether or not I take the knockout that I have in front of me. It's just... I think Mamo definitely protects here, but I want to do damage through the protect. It's actually really tricky. I'm going to double up on Mamo and expect them to stay in with Groudon here. Ah, but they switched out, okay. Well, let's see if Mamo attacked. Wait, is that Sableye? Oh, they have no offense now. Yeah, they protected, but, like, how do you win now if you're my opponent? Because, like... Oh, it's actually still... It's doable. It's still doable. I could have won the game by targeting Groudon. I don't know, because if I were in my opponent's shoes, I would bait the damage onto it. Okay. Well, that was pretty good. We bring Mamo down to its Sash, so we'll take that. We know there's Scarf Burnt Groudon on the back, so it's not really doing much damage, but it still does some damage, so it's not like I can discount it. They are faster than Reshiram here. I think I would have won the game, though, if I just targeted Sableye there. I don't know. 2 turns of Sunlight left. I'm at -2 speed. We have Krookodile in the back. I think switching into Krookodile here is definitely appropriate. So, like, I want to go for Glide and switch this thing out into Krookodile. I mean, it feels good. I'd rather see, I think, Sableye over Venusaur or Charizard, because those were both a little bit scarier. I don't know. If my opponent had Charizard or Groudon in the back... Oh, wait. Oblivious might be a problem here. Wait, they just went for a double protect? That option doesn't make much sense to me, to be honest. I feel like you don't need to. Because you outspeed... Oh, maybe they don't have Fake Out on Sableye. That would be the explanation, right? And they're Trick Lagging Tail, it looks like. If you just tricked into Krookodile, though, you just lost your... I mean, you're locked into Scarf. Oh, no, it's eject button. Okay, well, now you have Assault Vest. I think we should just win now, right? Like... because I could just glide into Groudon. Yeah, AV, Thundurus, definitely, you know, a little unfortunate to see, but that's okay. Let's think this through. 3 turns of Grassy Terrain. You just tricked an eject button onto me. I don't really care about that, right? That play was really bizarre, to be honest. I don't think it really gets my opponent anywhere that last turn. I feel like just glide into Groudon and switch out into Reshiram here is pretty good. Even if glide, I don't think KOs, but then I just bring Krookodile back in. Okay, they just ended forfeiting. Yeah. I think, like, I'm really surprised they had Sableye in the back because I feel like Charizard or Venusaur would have just been infinitely better for them. Late game Sableye typically feels kind of weak to me, in my opinion, just because I don't think it, like, it doesn't really do damage, so you're using it as support. But my opponent had so much good offense, like Thundurus, Groudon, and, like, Charizard or Venusaur both capitalized so much off the sun. So, yeah. I did not play well with Iron Ball today, so that's my main takeaway. Like, I kind of botched the Iron Ball in both of the last 2 games. Game 3, it directly led to a loss. And so, but it's like, with the Iron, it wasn't the Iron Ball that was the problem, it was that I didn't make my best possible play after I tricked the Iron Ball, which would have been to go for the Flare onto the Calyrex slot. But they also led better than I did. I don't know, if you told me 100% my opponent's leading Indeedee plus Calyrex, I never found out the item on Indeedee as well. So it's like, if I know you're not Focus Sash, well, actually, Krookodile would reveal its item, which is also, I guess, part of the problem. So, yeah. I don't know. It's a tricky matchup, and they played really well, and Terrakion on the late game is also really scary, and then the Indeedee also invalidates so much of what I want to do, typically with the Sableye. So it's like it forced me to switch into Rillaboom, but then I just lost so much on turn 1, and I got nothing out of it. So, yeah. And then they made that perfect endgame play as well. Protect and Max Knuckle was super, super smart on there, because that covered all their bases and was basically like a way to ensure the game 100% of the time. So, yeah. Either way, though, I had a lot of fun with Reshiram today, so I hope you all enjoyed it. Thank you so much to Ryota once again for the team. Hope you all enjoyed. If you did, please share support by leaving a like. Don't forget to answer the question of the day, and I'll catch you all next time. All right, peace.